morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Kathy. Welcome to Unity North Spiritual Center in Coon Rapids, Minnesota. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual path, you're welcome at Unity, and we're glad you're with us this morning. In case you're new and don't know, Unity North is part of a greater worldwide unity movement. We are the publishers of the Daily Word magazine. We've been holding 131 years of prayer vigil through Silent Unity, the prayer ministry of the Unity movement. So prayer is the heart and soul of Unity. And one of our prayer chaplains is on call to pray with you today. I think it's, is it John? Yeah, John, wave. So John will share his phone number with us just at the beginning of social time. So if you stay for a few minutes after, he'll share his number on the screen, holding it up, and then you can give him a call for prayer. So today we have with us, as always, Chris Italiano doing our IT for us. Welcome, Chris. And then we have his wife, Rhonda Italiano, who is our worship assistant today. She's also our licensed teacher in the church. And I want to thank Rhonda for doing the talk last week as our guest speaker, so I could have a Sunday off and get recharged. So, and you did a great job. Thanks, Rhonda. And then our musician today is Bruce Meunier Bell. And let me just tell you a little about him. Many of you know him, but if you are beyond the walls of Unity North, you may not. He's a vocalist, guitarist, flautist, trumpeter, songwriter. He's been providing music in Unity spiritual centers for several years, and as a lifelong working musician, he has shared the stage with a number of famous people: James Taylor, Joni Mitchell, Muddy Waters, Van Morrison, Arlo Guthrie, Johnny Cash, Bob Marley and the Wailers, the Byrds, jazz icon Charles Lloyd, and author Alan Cohen, among others, performing in a variety of venues across the US and Canada and in Europe. And through the years, Bruce has been a regular here with us at Unity North Spiritual Center. So we welcome you back, Bruce, and as you do our opening song for us, let's give him a hand.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be with you all again. Weave. Sing with me. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other. But we are entwined with one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are different instruments playing our own melodies, each one tuning to a different key. We are all playing in harmony in one great symphony. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. A moment ago, still we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in thee, in one great family. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together together in love.
Well, thank you, Bruce.
Thanks for singing, everybody.
Absolutely. So this is the time in our service when we would like to greet one another. You might have noticed that you were all muted upon entry, and we did that not because we don't want to hear your lovely voices, but because we tend to get some feedback and echoing. So you were all muted. If you have something that you need to add or say, please make sure that you unmute yourself. I was scrolling through and I did not see anyone new, but if I missed you and you are new, please do unmute yourself and let us know where you're from so that we can greet you properly. No? All right. So please take just a moment and wave to your neighbor. We don't get to see each other very often, so make sure that we all have a chance to see your smiling face. All right. We also want to be sure to take time for prayer requests. So if you have a prayer request, please share that silently and we will take just a moment to hold that prayer with you. We see that issue, that illness, that idea, whatever is weighing on your heart, we see that resolved. Answered and complete. And so it is. And then our daily word for Sunday, January 24th, 2021 is oneness. I am divine. Over the years, I have learned there is a spark of divinity within me and within all people. This divine spark binds us as members of one family and deepens our awareness of God. Today, my understanding of my divinity expands. My divine nature is so much more than a spark. It is my essence, who I truly am. I realize I don't have to rely on anything outside myself for love, comfort, and guidance. Everything I could ever need from God is already mine and is expressing as me. My realization of oneness extends to all people, whom I now see as fellow divine beings. Freed from all illusion of separation, I am aware of the divine presence everywhere expressing through everyone. We are divine. From John 17:21, we read, that they may all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I am in you, may they also be in us. The word for today is oneness. And with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Bruce.
All right. In order to prepare for meditation, let's sing together in the silence. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
Now I invite you to sit back and relax for meditation. Just take several deep breaths as you feel that wave of relaxation move in and through your body, from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. And say to yourself, I am completely and totally relaxed. And it is not I, but the Christ within who does the work. I'm now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And I consider the power of inspiration. Inspiration means to breathe into. Who has breathed into you? Who has inspired you? Or who inspires you now? What qualities or abilities do they demonstrate that animate and enliven you? Perhaps it was parents, teachers, spiritual leaders, perhaps a doctor or an author or writer. Just consider what they call forth in you. We are divinely inspired every day, especially as we reflect on it, as we open our minds and hearts to be inspired. We can ask ourselves, what key idea or creative thought inspires me to be the divine in expression, to do all that is mine to do? Let's just take that question into the silence. What key idea or creative thought inspires me to be the divine in expression, to do all that is mine to do? There are so many ways we are inspired. Consider the wonder and the beauty of creation, our wondrous planet, and the incredible mystery and power of the universe. There is always endless inspiration if we pause and reflect. And so this day, this week, to become more aware of the power of inspiration. And for that power, we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Thank you, Reverend Kathy, for bringing that song to us too.
Thank you, Bruce. Always an inspiring song.
Yes, thanks.
Well, my lesson title today is The Power of Inspiration. An affirmation for us to speak together is, I am inspired to do all that is mine to do. Please join me in saying that. I am inspired to do all that is mine to do. On Wednesday, many of us watched an inspirational inauguration. And I don't mean this as a political statement, but refer even more to the power of that event, that moment, standing for democracy in the face of recent lies and violence. As a longtime Lady Gaga fan, I was thrilled to hear her rendition of our national anthem.
Yes.
J-Lo as well, singing This Land Is Your Land and America the Beautiful. All three songs tug at our patriotic hearts and inspire us. And to see the first Black American and Asian American and first woman sworn in as vice president, an incredibly inspirational moment. And whatever your political persuasion, hearing a president commit himself to unity at an incredibly divisive time in our world inspires us to believe in that possibility in the face of seemingly impossible odds. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, to inspire someone is to exert an animating, enlivening, or exalting influence on them. The origin of the word is found in the Latin inspirar, meaning to breathe into, to breathe into. Reverend Mark Fuss wrote about this subject. He said, as I read the definition of inspire, and that it means to breathe into, my mind went to the people and the ideas that have inspired me. They breathe into who I am, what I think and believe about myself and the world around me. So we can ask ourselves, who has breathed into me? He went on to say, Dr. Robert Fish, my teacher and friend, is one person who enlivened and inspired me. Fish, as he was affectionately known to his students, taught homiletics, storytelling, readers, theater, and other public speaking classes during my Unity Seminary experience. He said, Fish taught me to plumb the depths of my thoughts, feelings, and experiences to bring a story to life for myself and for an audience. He taught me to breathe into the idea that a story is conveying, to bring it to life. And Fish was particularly skilled at the use of metaphor and story and sharing an inspiring idea. Well, when I read these words by Mark Fuss, I had to smile because I knew Robert Fish. He was a licensed teacher when I knew him at Unity of Palo Alto. And he later was hired to teach the ministerial students the art of communication and public speaking. But because he was already an expert in the field, when he was in Palo Alto at the same time I was, the other minister there and I both had personal coaching from him during our time serving in that ministry. And Fish definitely inspired me with his incredible teaching. And I remember one sort of funny time, the other minister and I would share the platform most Sunday mornings. And sometimes he would do the announcements, sometimes I would, sometimes he'd welcome the new people, sometimes I would. And that particular morning, he welcomed the new people, but I didn't hear it. I was standing right next to him, but I had gone somewhere else entirely. I had spaced out. And he got done and he nudged me, it was my turn. And then I went right on to welcome the new people and do exactly what he had just done. And he looked at me like I was completely crazy. And then I realized what I'd done. And it was just this embarrassing moment. And it turns out that Robert Fish happened to be filming us that day so we could later see ourselves. And when I met with him, I was still completely embarrassed by the experience. And he laughed and he told me a better way to handle it instead of just being embarrassed was to go to humor. Well, that's not necessarily an automatic for me as an introvert who had been shy for many years. But he coached me into coming up with a better response than I had had that morning at Unity of Palo Alto. So I decided, well, instead of standing there on the stage embarrassed when I spaced out, I could have told everybody, oh, so sorry, I was visiting the Pleiades and I just got back, or something like that, just a way to make it humorous in the moment. And so I've never forgotten how he inspired me in so many ways, not only to call forth humor, but to call forth tears and deep emotion in myself and in others. We can ask ourselves, what people have inspired us most and why? First, the ones that we know or have known, and then the ones that we have never met, but have been influenced by regardless. We may have been inspired by our parents, by childhood teachers, or those teachers we found when we were adults. Perhaps our main inspiration was a priest or a minister, a friend or a work colleague, or even a community of people. Perhaps it was a child. If you're like me, you will find when you spend time thinking about those who inspired you, there are so many throughout a lifetime. I think, no wonder I'm still breathing with all of those people breathing into me along the way. Wow, what a thought. And especially if you practice looking for the blessing as Unity teaches us to do, looking for the blessing or the good in all things, because when we do, we realize even more how much we are inspired and even motivated by inspiration. My parents inspired me, my dad by his incredible loyalty and persistence as a provider for his family, despite the debilitating diseases of both diabetes and alcoholism, a tough combination. My mom inspired me with her incredible compassion and wisdom despite her illness of bipolar disorder. Both of them inspired me to live the life that I have. When I think of people through the years who've inspired me, they were the healers and teachers, and especially spiritual ones, which makes sense given my profession. And I've always been inspired by the beauty and the wonders of creation and the magnificence of the universe, and knowing that everything is energy. Children were asked, how can you inspire people and make them feel better about themselves? 8-year-old Reem said, if someone says to me, I feel that no one likes me, I would say, well, I like you. And if people don't like you, they're not the right people for you, but the people that think you're special are special. 8-year-old Jacqueline said, everyone should have an alarm clock that says nice things to them in the morning when they wake up. And 9-year-old Caitlin said, well, if they don't feel like they're pretty, you could say, well, you're a lot prettier than a person I know who has big, bulgy eyes. Well, what about all those others who you've never met, and yet they inspired you? Perhaps it was an author who wrote a book that changed your life, a performer who so moved you, it set you on a path, or a spiritual leader whose teachings brought you out of a dark night of the soul experience, a doctor who saved you. You know, our nature and destiny is to become the Christ or the divine, to become a fully realized being, Christ conscious. The divine in expression is central to Unity teachings. We are not broken, but blessed. Our thoughts, words, and actions are creative. When we begin to express our divine identity, a world of growth and possibility opens before us. I don't know about you, but I find these Unity truth teachings completely inspirational and have from the moment I came upon them. We are not broken, but blessed with unlimited possibilities to be and do all that is ours to do. Well, there's a great story that speaks to that called Singing the Songs of Angels by Joan Wester Anderson. Robin Lee Shope had never asked God to send her to a mission field to serve him. In fact, she enjoyed being a wife and the mother of 2 young children. But when she drove each day to her job at a school in Louisville, Texas, it was difficult to imagine a more complex assignment. Robin taught remedial reading to teenagers who, because of their behavioral difficulties, were still in junior high school. Many were gang members living in single-parent families or struggling with learning disabilities. Failure, anger, and lack of confidence and self-discipline were their constant emotional companions. Why should they try? Who cared about them? Robin was deeply concerned about them. Each day she laid her hands on her class list and she prayed for each student by name, asking God to give her the wisdom to address their many needs. She asked the students' guardian angels to help her somehow reach them. She even maintained a rewards box so she could publicly praise teenagers who had made a genuine effort that week, but it was an uphill climb. Tony was the hardest to handle. He was an Hispanic gang member with a bad temper, 16 and still in the 8th grade. The others usually took their cues from Tony. When he was in a cooperative mood, Robin's day was manageable, and when he was aggressive or refused to obey, the entire class floundered. They threw items or collectively refused to complete an assignment. So Robin's instincts told her there was more to Tony than the callous exterior he presented. If only she could break through that shell and bring him the respite and encouragement he so needed. She sensed he had much to offer the world if he could only believe in himself. She said to him, "I know you can do better than this. Just show me some effort so I can reward you." Well, Tony usually shrugged. School was obviously not a priority for him. But one Friday, Robin realized Tony's behavior had been surprisingly decent all day. So eager to reward him, she announced Tony he could choose something from the rewards box. And he ambled up the aisle. He took his time perusing the box as if he were selecting a rare gem. Several of the kids snickered. And finally, Tony chose a small American flag. He strutted back to his seat and he began to wave it. "Tony, please stop that," Robin asked. "You're disturbing the others." But Tony just continued to wave the flag back and forth as his classmates watched. "Look at me," he seemed to be saying, and his eyes were fixed on Robin, daring her to do something about this behavior. He was getting out of control, she knew, headed for a showdown with her. And Robin had no idea what to do. Was he capable of physical violence toward her? What if she lost her temper? She prayed silently, asking angels to comfort and calm these children that no one seemed to want. She looked at Tony. He glared back. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. And suddenly, surprised at herself, Robin smiled, breaking the tension. "Tony, if you don't put that flag down, I'll have to sing to you. And believe me, you won't want that." Where did that idea come from? We can say she resorted to humor. She had only an average voice and had never sung in a classroom before. But her effort at distraction had failed. Tony continued to wave the flag, a little smile playing at his lips. "Go on, sing," he seemed to say, mocking her. So Robin gulped. A deal's a deal. In a shaky voice, she began to sing a song from church. "Joy as the flag flown high from the castle of my heart." The students quieted, seemingly mesmerized. Tony laid his flag on the desk. His dark eyes watched Robin as she sang. Was he angry? And she went on, "And the king is in residence there." The last notes died away. The class was silent. "I haven't heard that since I was a kid in Sunday school," Tony said. "Do you have any more songs?" Robin was astonished at his reaction. He seemed completely sincere, even a little vulnerable. "How about This Little Light of Mine?" another boy suggested. "We used to sing that at my church." "I love that one," a girl enthused. Her students had attended Sunday schools, churches. She didn't even have time to ask, for a teenager in the back of the room had already started the next song. Together in those most public of school environments, everyone sang one hymn after another, which could have gotten her in some trouble with the authorities. The songs were reminders of a younger, more innocent time in their lives when they'd been filled with hope. "Jesus loves me, this I know." Robin looked at their faces, heard the sweet purity of their voices, and blinked back tears. Whatever their hardships, they were as beautiful to her as any choir of angels. And after that day, the classroom climate changed. If everyone behaved, then Sunday school singing would take place at the end of the day. Robin took requests, connected certain songs to lessons, and exulted at the enthusiasm her teenagers now showed. She gave thanks to the unknown ministers, youth leaders, and Sunday school teachers who'd planted these seeds in her students. Often she caught Tony's eye during a special phrase and saw the meaning it touched him too. No one from the principal's office ever reminded Robin that what she was doing was technically against the law. Tony and some of the others graduated at the end of that year, and Robin lost touch with them. Occasionally, she wondered about Tony, had those daily moments of relaxation and spiritual peace had any influence on him, enough to keep him from falling back into the ruthless street culture. She'd probably never know God had other plans. 10 years passed, and Robin continued to teach remedial students. And one day she pulled into a car repair shop to have some work done. The manager of the shop, a handsome young man, greeted her and took her information. She was struck by his good manners, but mainly by the sparkle and joy in his eyes. As he finished the paperwork, the man looked at her. "You don't remember me, do you?" And Robin hesitated. He smiled. "I'm Tony." Tony? She could hardly believe it. "But how?" "God reached me through those songs we sang," Tony told her. "I wanted my life to mean something. So I went to mechanic school, and I go to church every week now." And he looked around proudly, then back at Robin. "Don't give up on kids like me. Keep praying. Keep praying." Once again, he'd reduced her to tears, but now the story was complete. Who had whispered a suggestion of holy song into her ear that day so long ago? Was it her angel? Was it Tony's angel? It didn't matter. A seed planted in the most arid of soils could grow if it had just a little love and faith to nourish it. She knew that now for sure. She had the incredible blessing to see one of her successes. He was inspired by her to do all that was his to do. So we never know who might inspire us and who we might inspire. You know, when Amanda Gorman, a 22-year-old poet from Los Angeles, took to the stage on Wednesday, it was immediately clear why the new president had chosen her as his inaugural poet. In her amazing poem, "The Hill We Climb," she declared that our nation is not broken, but simply unfinished. She included the same themes that our new president returned to again and again in his talk: unity, healing, grief, and hope, the painful history of American experience, and the redemptive power of American ideals. When he said, "We must end this uncivil war," Gorman declared, "We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another." And where he called for love and healing and greatness and goodness, Gorman saw strength in pain. "Even as we grieved, we grew," she said. You may not know that Amanda Gorman, like Biden, had a speech impediment as a child. Biden had a stutter. Gorman had difficulty pronouncing certain sounds. She told an NPR reporter that her speech impediment was one reason she was drawn to poetry at such a young age. For Gorman, and former National Youth Poet Laureate, her struggle to speak provided a connection not only to the incoming president, but also to previous inaugural poets as well. She said, "Maya Angelou was mute growing up as a child and grew up to deliver the inaugural poem for President Bill Clinton." So I think there's a real history of orators who have had to struggle with a type of imposed voicelessness, she said. Her poem acknowledges the previous president's incitement of violence, but turns toward hope. "The Hill We Climb" reads in part, "We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith, we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. Now, there's so much more, and absolutely nobody can recite her poetry like she can. But the words in this final part are so inspirational. When day comes, we step out of the shade aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. You know, if you did not see Amanda deliver this poem, go to YouTube and watch. The poem and the poet are absolutely phenomenal. You will be completely inspired. So this week, I invite you to consider who inspires you? What qualities and abilities do they demonstrate that animate or enliven you? And what do they call forth in you? What key idea or creative thought inspires you to be the divine in expression, to do all that is yours to do? Ask yourself those questions and keep affirming, I am inspired to do all that is mine to do. And when we act on our inspiration and do all that is ours to do, we cannot fail to inspire others as well. So may you always be divinely inspired. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Thanks so much, Reverend Kathy, for the blessing of your words. What was that last part? I wrote it down. There's always light if we only are brave enough to see it. Kind of connects with my song. The song is called Carry Joy. There was another line in your talk about what was that? I raised the flag of joy. And there's an old biblical verse, Nehemiah 8:10. It says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. So for me, joy is one of the states that leads me to inspiration. When you wake up in the morning to a new sunrise, and you get your mind open wide, and you realize that you've got the joy of life in you. You do, and everything you need to let it shine on through. So just remember it's there. Take it along everywhere, 'cause you carry joy with you wherever you go. And if you seem to lose it, I just forgot to choose it. Take it out, let it show. Yes, you carry joy with you wherever you go. It's the gift we can always give. It's the light that we love to live. It's the prize when we choose to forgive as we carry joy. When I try to do it all myself, life's just not much fun. But when I live the isolated life, I don't see much sun. But when I reach out and touch another heart, I feel the energy. I get a brand new start, and I remember it's there. It rides with me everywhere, 'cause I carry joy with me wherever I go. And if I seem to lose it, I just forgot to choose it. Take it out, let it show. Yes, I carry joy with me wherever I go. It's the gift we can always give. It's the life that we love to live. It's the prize when we choose to forgive as we carry joy. As we carry joy. As we carry joy. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. So we have come to the time in our service where we bless our offering. If you have a gift in your hand, you could hold that. Otherwise, you can silently bless a gift you have already given. You see a QR code on your screen, and if you hold your phone over that QR code, it will take you directly to the place on our website where you can donate to the spiritual center. Otherwise, you're always welcome to put your check in the mail. So if you would please join me for the blessing of the offering. Divine love flowing through me now blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful.
God is the source. God is the source. Each of us channels, guiding the good, flowing divine, one endless source, infinite blessings. Praise the Creator, thy will is mine.
And then we have some announcements. First of all, this coming Wednesday, Reverend Kathy's class, Racism and White Fragility, begins on, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So please join if you are able to participate in that. That is a 6-week course, and you will see a link here. You are welcome to purchase the book. And then there is a portion of that money that comes back to Unity North if you use this link. So the class is, of course, open to everyone. The book is important, but if you cannot purchase the book, you're still welcome to attend the class and follow along, and you'll still find meaning in the class. If you do get the book, the request is that you would please read chapters 1 and 2 before the first class on this coming Wednesday. So it starts at 6:30. I'm guessing it'll be about an hour and a half long each Wednesday. Yep, Reverend Kathy said 90 minutes. So yes, 6:30 to 8, and that's a 6-week course. So racism and white fragility. On Thursday, January 28th, we have our family table meal. That will be drive-through style this month. And the outreach committee is still looking for volunteers to help prepare and package the food. Kathleen has informed us that she does have enough ham, so they're not looking for any more ham donations. But we do still need people to help prepare and package the food for that. So please contact Kathleen Bailey if you are able to help with that. Also on Thursday, January 28th at 7 p.m., the men's group is meeting via Zoom. So if you have any questions about that, you are welcome to contact Jim Cox, and he can help you out with any questions, and his phone number is listed there. And I think that's it for announcements. Also, if you are able to stay for a social time after the service, we will hang out together and unmute ourselves and have a chance to catch up. So that will be directly after the service.
So let me say thank you, first of all, to Rhonda and to Chris today. Thank you so much. And also let's give a special hand to Bruce for being with us today. Thank you for music, Bruce. Appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
And let's join in together and say our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now let's join in our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. And with that, everyone is welcome to unmute themselves and have some social time.